Good evening. I call to order the regular meeting of the Lakewood City Council in Lakewood, Colorado on July 10th, 2017 at 7 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Paul?
Here.
Coop?
Here.
Wickman? Gutwein?
Here.
Franks? Harrison? Here. Roybal?
Here.
Vincent? Here. Abel?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Shakti?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Fantastic. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. Thank you for coming out and taking part in your local government. If you're tuning in online or on Channel 8, welcome as well. I would ask those in chambers, if you do have a cell phone, to please put it on silent. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer, that'd be great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. So while we are getting ready to read the proclamation, if you would wish to speak tonight, feel free to sign up on the roster in the back. And if the clerk would please read item 4.
Item 4, Proclamation, Park and Recreation Month.
All right, and I'll ask Miss Kit Newland to come down and join me. She is the Director of Community Resources. And we're going to, you know what, I'll just read it.
Okay. I'm there.
Okay. All right, I will ask Mayor Pro Tem Harrison to please read the proclamation.
Recognizing July 2017 as Park and Recreation Month, whereas July 2017 is the 32nd anniversary of Park and Recreation Month, celebrated across the nation by the National Recreation and Park Association to recognize the enduring power of parks and recreation. And whereas Lakewood is committed to providing high-quality parks, recreation, family, and cultural services, and facilities that inspire enjoyment, learning, and wellness in all the lives of those who live, work, and play in Lakewood. And whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all residents, and contributing to the economic, environmental, and mental well-being of the community. And whereas we observe Park and Recreation Month during the month of July, we also recognize the significant contribution of employees and volunteers to Lakewood's numerous parks and recreation cultural facilities, golf courses, outdoor pools, and spray parks. Today was a free day at Surfside Spray Park. These dedicated supporters help keep our parks and facilities clean, safe, and accessible for the enjoyment of all. And whereas we encourage all residents to enjoy the many amenities Lakewood has to offer by taking part in their favorite sport or recreational activity, visiting a Lakewood facility to discover a new passion, or simply relaxing with their friends and families in one of Lakewood's numerous parks. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, I, Adam Paul, Mayor of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, by authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim July 2017 in the City of Lakewood as Park and Recreation Month.
Right. So I think we have a short video, then I'll ask Ms. Newland to say a couple words. But the great part of our city is that over half of it's dedicated to parks and open space, not over half, a quarter of it, with over 100 parks. And this year my theme was Lakewood through the lens of our children. And I've been hearing from so many of our kids, and one of the things that they enjoy the most is our parks. And I know it's near and dear to so many in our community. And I think we have one of the best parks and recs programs in the country. So with that, let's watch a little video.
Hi, I'm Peggy Bocard with the Community Resources Department with the City of Lakewood. July is Parks and Recreation Month, and we have something for everyone here in Lakewood. including this amazing new playground that just opened up here at Carmody Park. It's the city's first universal playground, which means there's something for people of all abilities. But there's so much more to experience in Lakewood. Take a look at some of the other programs and places to visit this month and discover the important role that Lakewood Parks and Recreation plays in providing valuable programs and services to the Lakewood community.
Very cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. I also, a big, huge shout out to Jonathan and our KLTV staff who put that really cool video together. I don't really think there's much I can add. What we do is try to really improve quality of life for all the citizens. And as you can see in the video, there's something for just about everybody out there. So we want to make sure that you all know and let your constituents all know about all the great activities that we have going on in the parks and our facilities. And I put a calendar there for you, and you can go to lakewood.org/July and send constituents there so they can learn about all the free activities that are going on this month. And we hope to see you out celebrating with us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, will the clerk please read item 5?
Item 5, presentation, Jefferson County Public Library, update on library services.
All right, and now I will invite Miss Rebecca Winning down. Good evening, nice to have you here.
So much.
I confess that I have an overdue book currently.
Did you know you can go online and renew that?
That's good to know.
So you can save yourself some of those fees.
And pay my fine?
I'm sorry?
Pay my fine online?
Yeah, I think you can.
That's great.
I'm here with Nancy Witzel, who's a Lakewood resident and also a library volunteer, and we're so grateful that you invited us to come speak to you. You may remember that a couple of years ago we were here crying the blues about how bad the library had gotten because our funding was so, we were under such extreme financial constraints and we weren't providing the level of service we felt we owed the Jefferson County residents. And thanks to some of you and others who supported us in a mill levy effort, we are now climbing out of that hole, and we wanted to come back and thank you and also show you what we're doing with the money. We're trying to be really responsible in terms of providing library service. So I have a short video. I'm going to be quick. We'll show this and then take any questions you may have.
Is that the one from 4 years ago?
What if there were no libraries in Jefferson County?
You had it up. That's all.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I was trying to...
Yeah, we don't want to go back there.
No.
All teed up. I'm so sorry.
You're good. No worries.
paper.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll just say that the amenities that you provide, and if you have a chance to go to the libraries, there's so many different programs, again, for people of all ages, different things, different camps. It's always a great experience to go and check out. And it's amazing to see how many folks are in there using the internet as well.
Yep. We're gratified to be able to finally be offering a better level of service. So here we go.
All right.
Before Jeffco voters approved a mill levy increase for the library in November of 2015, JCPL convened a Citizens Advisory Committee. We asked them what library services they wanted to see and what they'd be willing to pay for. The committee, made up of thought leaders from across the county, was unanimous in its feedback. After reviewing inputs from more than 5,000 Jeffco residents, they gave us a clear mandate for the future. Restore core services. They told us to provide more books and materials, restore open hours, update library technology, catch up on delayed capital maintenance, and stabilize library finances.
We know that vibrant communities need to have excellent libraries for success. Before the '09 recession, Jefferson County Public Library was a leader in library services. By 2015, after years of fiscal constraints, they had fallen behind in what was being offered to the public. We wanted to see services restored and returned to their previous status, and to be able to give our Jefferson County residents the resources they want and deserve.
In 2016, we made great progress toward restoring core services. We nearly doubled our investment in books and materials. We bought more popular materials, including bestsellers, perennial favorites. We bought more children's materials, including picture books and other early literacy resources. We offered new items, too, including laptops and wireless hotspots for checkout. We bought more digital resources, like Consumer Reports, the New York Times, and Mango Languages, and even lynda.com, and patrons love it.
lynda.com is an amazing resource for anyone who wants to learn all kinds of areas of software and digital media and marketing and art, and I wanted access to lynda.com, and I just couldn't afford it. And as a teacher, finding out that I can have free access and anyone in Jefferson County who has a library card can access it, I was blown away. I loved it. I created my account immediately, and I was really jazzed to share it with my students. Like the very next day, I even sent out an email to all the staff in Jefferson County Public Schools, and I was like, guys, you got to check out lynda.com. They're doing a free account via the library. The library system is helping you out.
As a result, people are borrowing more and more items from the library. In 2016, people borrowed nearly 8 million items, a 10% increase compared to last year. Another top priority was to restore service hours. In April, JCPL expanded service hours at all 10 libraries. Our larger libraries expanded from 51 hours a week to 65 hours per week, and our smaller libraries opened between 40 and 48 hours a week, making it much more convenient for Jeffco residents to get to the library. We added more story times, a program designed to help our youngest residents gain the skills they need to be ready to read. We added 30 new story times a week, system-wide, for a year-over-year increase of 15%. We also added more and better programs, like 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, a program to motivate parents to read 1,000 books to their preschoolers before they enter school. We held Raise a Reader events to introduce parents to county-wide literacy resources. We introduced STEM Girls, a program designed to help girls excel in science, technology, engineering, and math. We expanded our teen coding camps to teach teens important job skills. And we piloted do-it-yourself labs at the Golden Library, where patrons can come learn how to use electronics, robotics, 3D printers, and more. We expanded our summer reading program, designed to keep kids reading over the summer. This year's program was an unqualified success. More than 36,500 people participated, and as a community, we read more than 27.5 million minutes. More importantly, 87% of parents and caregivers who participated reported that their child maintained or increased their reading skills. We also launched an innovative school contest with summer reading. Nearly 17,500 students participated and read more than 15 million minutes.
Summer reading makes your summer fun. You can go everywhere in the whole wide world and never leave your house. And it helps you keep the reading level you had the year before. It helps you grow so that you're ready for the next grade, so you don't lose anything over the summer. I think that's really important, that kids don't lose what they got over the school year. And then it's just plain fun.
As a result of these improvements, more and more people used the library in 2016. More than 2.7 million people visited our libraries, for a year-over-year increase of 9%. And more than 230,000 residents attended programs, a 12% increase compared to 2015. We also worked hard to update technology. We installed more than 200 new computers, replaced outdated network equipment, upgraded servers, and expanded bandwidth across the system. Here, you can see the before and the after results of our server upgrades. More importantly, we provided better access to technology to patrons of all ages. And public computer use increased by 9%. We also worked to catch up on delayed capital maintenance, budgeting more than $2 million to repair and improve our facilities. 2016 projects included, among other things, landscape upgrades at all libraries, carpet repairs at Belmar, new windows at Wheat Ridge, a new boiler at Stanley Lake, and upgrading parking lots at the Lakewood Library and Library Service Center. We also began planning for a major update of the Columbine Library, located on West Bowles Avenue. We got lots of community input, and we can't wait to share the results with you. We also work to stabilize and protect the library's finances. In 2016, the Library Board of Trustees adopted a number of policies to ensure responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars. One states that the library should maintain a minimum fund balance equal to 25% of annual revenues, and that the fund balance should never exceed 50% of revenues. We wanted to ensure that the library has sufficient savings to complete major capital projects and tide us over in case of emergencies or future economic downturns, while also ensuring that we're using taxpayer dollars efficiently and not saving more than we need.
We are grateful to the voters for giving us a mill levy increase and giving us the resources we need to deliver a responsible level of library service. At the same time, we've promised voters that we will only ask for what we need. While we're allowed to ask for a maximum mill levy of 4.5 mills every year, there will likely be years when we won't need to levy the full amount. These policies will help to ensure that we keep that promise.
Now the library is executing on its 2017 plan. We'll continue to add more resources. We'll continue to update library technology. You'll see new service kiosks shown here to make checking out materials faster and more efficient. More new computers. And we hope to add some special technology for patrons as well. We'll complete the Columbine remodel. And finally, we've been invited to partner with the City of Edgewater to put a new 10,000 square foot library in their new Civic Center, planned for opening in 2018.
We've come a long way toward putting the library back on the path to excellence, but there's more to do, and we are absolutely committed to providing the residents of Jefferson County with the high-quality amenities of a progressive, modern library. I hope you'll come in and see the wonderful changes that are taking place.
Very cool.
So thank you again. It's just so much nicer to be saying yes to things than saying no, and to be adding things instead of cutting things, which we were doing for quite some period of time. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? I think they all enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, item 6 is public comment. This is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the city council on items that did not appear on the agenda. All comments should be directed to the city council. I will ask that all in attendance observe the decorum in the city council chambers and refrain from applause or audible support or discord with the speaker. You will all have 3 minutes. This little box up here will go green until 2.5 minutes. It'll go yellow. When your time's up, it'll turn red, and I will politely try to wrap you up if you haven't. So first on our list, Mr. Mace, come on down. Yeah, take your time. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I'm here tonight to talk to you about two things, two major concerns. Mayor, every week that I've come down and squawked about the grocery cart ordinance, you just told me that it's in the works. Well, where is it? I don't see it. I'm getting tired of seeing grocery carts all over the city, and I'm the only one, like I said, pulling them back. This is out of control, and every time I speak, all I hear from council is we're working on it. Where is this process? I spoke to Councilor Johnson. She has told me that it's been put on the back burner because of some other issues. Now, I'm getting quite tired of coming up here and talking about this because this is nothing, I'm getting tired of being the one that helps the city pull these things back, and I'm not getting anywhere. The bus stops are full of them. And the other issue is I just wanted to let everybody know that the 2017-2018 school year is about to be upon us. So with the bullying issue, it's going to be another problem this year. Somebody, like I said, needs to stay on top of the ordinance and let me know where we are at. The other quick issue is the city needs to put a traffic light over by Whole Foods, between Target and Whole Foods. There is a major problem. I was in there today and I almost got hit. I am done with this. I am tired of running the risk every time I try to cross the street of just about getting hit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have Michael Gifford. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Michael Gifford, Gifford. Do you want my address?
We have it on record.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Mayor and members of the council, I'm here to talk about clean water and the city's dual obligation to have clean water for our citizens and our downstream neighbors, as well as the city's obligation to the state of Colorado and the federal government under the Clean Water Act to maintain clean water. And when I talk about clean water, I'm talking about keeping erosion and sediment and chemicals from going from the land into our waterways. Now, most cities in Colorado have a stormwater utility to pay for the costs of this program. If the citizens of this nation want a higher environmental standard, then they also need to be willing to pay the cost to provide that service. I recently became aware that there was one or more efforts to end the stormwater utility in Lakewood, and I think that would be an unmitigated disaster. There's a city in Colorado that recently tried this experiment, Colorado Springs. And in 2009, they had a vote to disband their stormwater utility. And since that time, they have not been able to give raises to their police officers. They're 100 positions short in their police department. They have an old and aging fleet of squad cars. And I'd just like to read you a brief story from the Colorado Springs Gazette on June 9th, 2017. Colorado Springs mayor pitches new stormwater fee to free cash for public safety. In a meeting with the city council, Southers pitched a sweeping vision Friday of bolstering the city's short-staffed police force by 100 officers and modernizing its aging and increasingly decrepit vehicle fleet. So I do not, as one citizen of Lakewood, want to see us put our public safety at risk and have to defund police services because someone wants to get rid of the stormwater utility fee. So if that's even close to being discussed at all, I'd be glad to volunteer my time to help educate more citizens about the pitfalls of taking the same path that Colorado Springs recently has. And with that, I'd like to conclude my remarks other than to say this is an issue that's so important to me that I've announced that I'm running for City Council in Ward 3. And these types of things are things that I want to be part of the solution, not just part of the problem. Be glad to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lenore?
During one of the first city council meetings that I attended, there was a celebration in honor of the Green Gables neighborhood. And I was very impressed with that. And the joy, Dana, I think it was your community, and I thought, wow, I want to be able to continue to have that kind of joyous celebration for my neighborhood, too. So I ask you, Mr. Mayor, and city council members to help preserve the residential boundaries of South Cody Court and areas north and east of us. Will you support the zoning ordinance that prohibits student housing and university use on the east side of South Cody Court? If CCU refuses to agree to the compromise agreement being offered, will you enforce this ordinance and deny or remove students from housing in the duplexes on the east side of this street? Thank you. Special thank you to Ramey and Charlie.
Thank you. Jerry? Good evening.
Hi. Is there a overhead? I've seen people use.
Yeah, absolutely. You put it right there and we'll get it turned on for you. Kind of right in the middle of the square. Yeah. Flip it the other way. There you go.
My name is Jerry Coffey. I live at 45 South Cody Street. I've lived in Lakewood since 1970 and at Cody Street for 35 years. There is a university campus called CCU. There is a neighborhood that has an adjoining border. The campus and the neighborhood each occupy different land use zones. Our city ordinance defines a university as being made up of classrooms, offices, administrative buildings, athletic fields, student living units, laboratories, libraries, cafeterias, student centers, bookstores, and auditoriums that are owned and controlled by the university. In contrast, a residential neighborhood is made up of dwelling units for permanent occupancy where households reside. Here's some history. In 2003, the definition of college university was separated from the definition of schools, prohibiting college university uses in most residential districts. Uses, that's a plural word. Well, on that map, if you look up here, that's a prohibited use if the square is left blank. This here shows the R2 zoning district. This is university. So if you follow it over, you see this blank square that says university and college use is prohibited in that R2 zoning. Uses, it's a plural word. Here's some more history. Between 2003 and 2012, CCU operated under the radar of our notice and bought up every duplex on the west side of Cody Court and the south side of Cedar Street in the R2 residential zone. So this is still Rockmont College because it's prior to the rezoning, and then it shows the new rezoning boundaries. So to back up here, it says, here's some more history. Between 2003 and 2012, CCU operated under the radar of our notice and bought up every duplex on the west side of Cody Court and the south side of Cedar Street in the R2 residential zone. Then during the 2012 City of Lakewood Comprehensive Rezoning Redevelopment Plan, they reckoned with the city and the neighborhood that their new zoning boundary should conveniently include their newly acquired properties. Their modus operandi: buy up residential properties, establish a monopoly on the block, then ask for rezoning. CCU is currently continuing the same pattern of subversion as evidenced by their behavior. As said earlier, the current boundary between CCU and the neighborhood was established during Lakewood's comprehensive rezoning development in 2012. The intended use in each zone is different and is well defined. It is not confusing. It is not a feeling. It is a fact that was carefully and thoughtfully commissioned by our Planning Commission. Whatever has run amok here between the closed doors at CCU and the City of Lakewood is hardly worth chasing down. The language, the canceled meetings, the lack of response is maddening and elusive. But there is still one layer of protection, a safety net the people of Lakewood depend on for protecting our neighborhoods from zoning bullies and zoning subversions. That layer is the 11 of you, our elected officials.
Thank you. Robert? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Robert Baker. I'm the president of Mid-Lakewood Civic Association, which is the association that's involved with the neighborhoods that we've been talking about so far tonight. And as you know, there are ongoing parallel but different issues that we have with Colorado Christian University and the city. For months now, CCU has continued to stall regarding their landlord-tenant issue with the women on Cody Court and with zoning uses off of their campus footprint in our residential zoning. We are here tonight to ask the mayor and council to go on record to answer 4 questions which I sent to each of you ahead of time. Number 1, does the mayor and council agree that university and college uses are prohibited in R2 zoning? And you were just shown your zoning code that showed that very clearly. Does the mayor and council agree that the definition of university and college includes quote-unquote student living units, which is in your definitions in your code? Does the mayor and council agree that CCU owns a duplex in R2 zoning, if they own a duplex in R2 zoning and decide to put CCU students and faculty or faculty exclusively, that such properties are by definition then the characteristics of student living units? And finally, does the mayor and council commit to find CCU in violation of Lakewood zoning code and enforce the zoning code if CCU proceeds with their publicly stated plan to place CCU students in R2 zoned duplexes owned and operated by CCU on South Cody Court? So we would hope that we can provide, that you can provide specific responses to each of these questions, hopefully within a few days. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Baum?
I'm Carol Baum, and I live at 1447 South Welch Court. Mayor Paul and members of the City Council, I come before you tonight to strongly encourage each of you to vote for the moratorium on high-density multifamily residential projects, which will allow Council to study potential reforms to the city's zoning rules. There are lots of issues we need to look at, along with congestion and crime. Another problem is related to water issues. Around the area of Carr, between 10th and 14th, there are lots of apartments. One resident who lives in a home close to this area is finding that at times the water pressure is low or goes down. These apartments tap into the main water line. Having enough parking spaces is another issue Council needs to look at. With high-density apartments, it affects homeowners as far as blocking the view of existing homes, which will affect property values. I'm also concerned about the cost to the taxpayers in regards to growth. If we don't slow down and take the time to study the impact on all of the growth and issues associated with it and make the necessary changes, the landscape of Lakewood will be changed forever and not for the better. One last comment I wish to address is the fact that when the zoning ordinance was written, that's hard, I recently found out that the Director of Planning, Travis Parker, was given the power to approve all building permits in the City of Lakewood. My question to you is why the City Council gave one person who is not elected by the people and who does not live in the City of Lakewood, why they would give him this much power to decide how our city will look. I feel the council needs to look at changing the way this is done. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Mr. Wolf? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm David Wolf. I live at 18 Balsam Street. Mayor and Council, this is an email that I sent to you a few days ago, and I would just like to get it into the record at this public hearing. The Lakewood Zoning Code enforcement should recognize as a code violation Colorado Christian University's admitted intent to convert homes it owns in the R2 zone district into student living units. They've admitted they're going to do this. Yes, CCU may own homes wherever it wishes, and any other landlord may rent to unrelated students subject to the square footage requirement of the zoning ordinance. To be sure, colleges and universities have a legitimate need to provide student housing, And student living units is one of the uses allowed by colleges and universities in the zoning ordinance. That certainly makes sense. But colleges and university uses are not permitted in R2 zone districts. Would it be a violation if CCU used an R2 dwelling it owned as a classroom or an administrative office? I think it would be a violation, and I think the city would enforce it. In fact, dwellings owned by CCU and used for any purpose listed in the college and university zoning definition, including student living units, should not be permitted in R2. Why is a CCU-owned dwelling rented exclusively to students a neighborhood concern when a home owned by a non-college entity that happens to be rented to students is not? CCU has already, as others have testified tonight, already used home purchases outside its campus as a vehicle to expand its boundaries into the adjacent neighborhood. Its current planned development district includes homes it purchased on the west side of Cody Court, and I guess the south side of Cedar, that were originally part of the neighborhood. A home owned by someone else that is rented to students poses no such threat of university expansion into the neighborhood. That's why we don't care if any other homeowner rents to students, but we do care if CCU rents to students because of their history of using that to expand. If the zoning code is intended to protect the integrity of neighborhoods, which I hope it is, then allowing a university to expand into a neighborhood by buying up property to be used for its own purposes should not be allowed. The prohibition of university uses in the R2 district applies to CCU's purchase of homes in the R2 district that it has stated are intended for student living. CCU may certainly petition the city to have zoning changed to include college and university uses, but that should be done prior to installing those uses in violation of existing zoning, not as a remedy for a violation that never should have been permitted in the first place. Discussions with city staff have indicated that they do not recognize as a code violation CCU's intent to house students in R2 dwellings it owns. I implore the mayor and council to take any action within their power to stop this illegal encroachment of a university into a residential neighborhood. Simply having the city enforce the existing zoning code would work. Thank you.
Thank you. So all that's signed up on this roster, but Brandon and Emily, you signed up. Do you want to speak under general business right now, or did you want to speak on a resolution coming up? Or did you just want to sign in? Oh, cool. Well, welcome. Yeah. So, if you'd like, yeah, come on down. You just give your, yeah.
Oh, I can just sit up here? Okay.
Yeah, welcome. Nice to see you.
All right, Mayor and Council, good evening. My name is Chris Gibbons, and I live at 9005 West Saget Avenue here in Lakewood. And I'm here tonight to speak on the issue of Colorado Christian University in our neighborhood. CCU is buying up properties in our neighborhood, and we need this to be stopped. We need the help from the council to make sure we preserve the integrity of our neighborhood. I believe there's a zoning violation happening here with the purchases that CCU is making. And definitely there's a violation of the intent of the code. We've got a specific area that's defined as this is the university. We've got another area defined as this is the R2 zone. And we have that to protect both so that university is kept there and the neighborhood is kept whole as well. And I want CCU to be successful. I'm happy that we have them here in Lakewood and they have these great plans for growth. But I want that success to happen within the boundaries that they originally agreed upon several years ago. And our big fear in the neighborhood is the creep. That it's not really about getting these housing units for the students right now. It's about acquiring the land. So in a year or two, the university is going to come to the council and say, we own all the land anyway. How about we just make it part of the campus now? And through that process of creep, I mean, the line has to happen somewhere, and so we ask your help in enforcing the zoning and stopping the creep of the university. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Duffy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coincidentally, I sent an email to my council representatives today regarding grocery carts. Today, I work for a large Lakewood employer, and we see a lot of carts along Quail and along Oak headed to the light rail station. Today, there was a cart in the middle of West Colfax in the eastbound lane. Traffic is whizzing by. I certainly hope that young man that was down here just a little bit ago doesn't try to get that cart out of West Colfax. The cars are flying by at 45 miles an hour. Nobody would stop and move it. And I'm sure that there was a lot of near misses, a lot of accidents. And I also mentioned in my email, I sent it to our council representatives and asked them to forward it to someone at the city that can help with the intersection of Quail and West Colfax. There's so much bus traffic, and as they come around the corner, they're unable to make that corner. I was involved in an accident today. I was a passenger in a car, and there was another accident with a bus coming around the corner, truck backs up, hits my friend's brand new car. As we know, after the hailstorm, we all have new cars. She still has temporary tags, and now her front bumper is all mashed in. So hopefully somebody can do something about that. I did also want to mention the moratorium. I assume your wards are the same as ours. It's pretty much the same people who come. It's pretty much the same people who volunteer on a regular basis. So those are the same ones that you hear from all the time. When talking to your constituents about the moratorium, we all know there's issues. That's why you have these things on your agenda coming forward to look at the traffic and the zoning and all of those things. You've scheduled them and you're going to look at them. Talk to the people that are next to you in line at the grocery store. When you stop and get a cup of coffee, talk to the person next to you. You're going to get maybe a little different opinion than you get once a month at our ward meetings. We see the same people all the time, and unfortunately that's the case. I'd like to get some of those others out of bed on Saturday mornings and get them in there. Get them out volunteering. But that's for another day. But I encourage you, before the meeting next week, don't make up your mind. Talk to the people and see what they think. Show some support to them, and this would look like a really good faith effort to stop what we're doing. We realize there's a problem, short term, and you're going to fix it because we know you've already scheduled these things and you're going to address it and you're going to get it fixed. So we have faith in you. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Yeager.
Run me in there. Gosh, I hate being up here with a passion. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my neighbors. Really, really appreciate that. Chris, congratulations. Well done. Unscripted. I think that kind of gave you the passion there. I will also say that Jerry and our crew, our older neighbors, have dealt with this before 14 years ago. So they're a little anxious to figure out some answers sooner than later. I will encourage you to keep negotiating, keep working on it. We are really excited. Hopefully this proposal goes through, because if it doesn't, I think it's going to have a negative impact on all of us, elections, everything of that nature. So we're small, but we are. There is a passion of the quality and character of our neighborhoods. We all talk about it when campaigning. It's hard to define. It's hard to figure out when the issues come up, the variables, everything of that nature. So, again, this is important to us, and we'd love to have a conversation in the future of wording that can be added to the zoning that would allow CCU the ability to just say, hey, we can't do, they hire any lawyer, and the lawyer's like saying, nope, you can't do this. I think interpretations can be done. 2090, Bob Murphy and I disagree on a lot of things. But one thing I will give him credit for is his passion. He believed in something with regards to 2090. He believed in it so much that took it to the courts and things of that nature. His interpretation didn't turn out the way he had envisioned or maybe wanted, but I will give him credit that he followed through with something he believed in. And so I really hope the quality of our neighborhood does mean something to people, and we can talk about the degrees in which this might change the quality of our neighborhood, but that's a conversation I'd love to have with any of you that like to have it, because that's definitely the piece of the pie that's missing, right? So anyway, the other things, I encourage you to help Lenore out and the ladies. I know you can't force them to sign a lease. That must be really stressful, living without something in signature and just this verbal commitment. So anything you can do to encourage. Also encourage best business practices. Love United Airlines, right? Overselling doesn't work out so far for pretty much anybody. And so over admissions doesn't work out for people. And so encouraging best business practices along the way would be nice. But otherwise, keep working on it. Thank you so much for making the proposal and coming together and doing that. And hopefully CCU accepts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment at this time. And so I will just certainly build off of our last speaker here. And for those folks who've been here multiple nights, they've known for some time the issues that we've faced with CCU. And this group certainly supports the neighborhood. And the problem that came to be is the city of Lakewood does not regulate ownership. We do have zoning rules, and we can look at different things as far as uses. So the goal was to try to find a compromise that would allow the ladies to stay in their current home and to try to give the neighborhood a voice with CCU and come to some sort of agreement outside of the court system without having to get involved in any sort of litigation. That was the goal. This council had an executive session on that, and that's where some of this comes into play. And I know it's frustrating for the neighbors because you want answers tonight. I can't offer you those tonight, but what I can say is that I met with CCU again today. We've continued to push them to make a deal, to make it right with the neighborhood. And if that doesn't happen, that stuff will come back to this body, and this body will have to make a decision to go forward. And whether or not that's in a litigious nature or through the courts, that will be the decision that this entire group will have to make. But I can tell you to a person that everybody up here shares your concerns, understands and appreciates your neighborhood and all of our neighborhoods. This just isn't exempt now from CCU. We have other schools throughout the city of Lakewood, REMCAD, Red Rocks Community College, things like that. So it hasn't fallen on a deaf ear, and we'll continue that pressure. And I encourage, as Mr. Yeager said, keep the faith, keep working. If all else fails, then we're going to have to take the next step. And that's all I can offer tonight. Okay? Councilor Franks?
Yes, I just wanted to reply to Diana Duffy so she knows that we're not just living in our bubble in Ward 4. We have done a survey that went out to more than 700 folks on our newsletter distribution. I also did a boosted Facebook post, which went out to and was reached to 665 people, and also posted on Nextdoor. And I do reach out to people that I see and ask the question to. Now, our survey response is still under 200. So all of you who were touched and reached by that, we still would love to hear from you. But I certainly wanted to make sure that you knew that the outreach we do is pretty aggressive. We really want to hear from those folks who either the meeting times don't work for or who maybe don't feel comfortable coming to express themselves. So we really do appreciate that. And then in response to Mr. Yeager, I appreciate your comments. You and I have maybe a different impression about 2090, but certainly I think it's one of those things where when people are passionate about it, I do expect them to kind of, step forward, my community step forward to intervene in a lawsuit, and we're ultimately victorious. But we certainly appreciate there was multiple sides of that particular discussion, so I thank you for your comments.
Councilor Abel.
I'd like to thank all the folks that came out tonight to stand up for their neighborhood and our zoning ordinance. Our zoning ordinance has some vague language. There are some contradictions in the document. However, in everything that we have had questions about, be it mixed use or student housing, the intent of the council that passed that zoning ordinance is very, very clear. And it's the intent we need to uphold. And as these negotiations go on, I certainly hope that we find some relief for the ladies who are living in limbo. But I think we also need to keep in mind that our zoning ordinance is there for a reason. And if we keep shunning the intent of the wording in that document, then it becomes almost useless. So I would encourage CCU to continue in the spirit of cooperation and community that we have been negotiating under, and hopefully it doesn't come to the hardest decision to make. Thank you.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor, and I too would like to thank all of you for coming out and speaking tonight. It's a little uncomfortable to stand in front of this body, everybody, and to speak. You're articulate. I believe in you. I believe in your cause. I am extremely disappointed, however, that after 5 months there is nothing in place, written leases that help you have any kind of comfort of what your future is going to be. That to me is inappropriate. And I'm hoping that we can get to a place very quickly and very soon where that's taken care of and remediated. Thank you.
Councilor Gutwein.
Thank you. Just want to echo some of what's been said up here. I think it's important, though, to hear from us since you've been coming out and speaking to us. So thank you so much for all the time you've put into this. And I also am hopeful that we will find a solution that works for you, and especially the ladies that we've been talking about living in limbo, and also keep us out of court. I think that would be good for everybody. But we'll just have to see what happens after this, and I hope that we'll find a solution. So thank you very much for your time and for coming out all these nights. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda has been made to expedite council action. It contains both resolutions and tonight only resolutions. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda consists of items 7 through 9. Item 7, Resolution 2017-23, approving Belmar Alameda Improvements Agreement. Item 8, approving minutes of City Council meetings. City Council regular meeting May 22, 2007. City Council special meeting May 8, 2017. City Council special meeting June 12, 2017. Item 9, accepting minutes of the boards and commissions. Board of Appeals May 16, 2017.
Great. So we have a quick presentation on item number 7 from Nanette Nealon.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Wanted to give you a brief update on what you're about to hopefully approve as a resolution for the Belmar Alameda improvements. I just want to make a note. We found an exhibit was missing last Thursday, and we updated it, and it should be at your table, but it's also updated online too, so it should have 14 pages to it. Exhibit D got left off. With that, I also would like to give a lot of credit. I worked with Assistant City Attorney Greg Graham and Jay Hutchison from the Public Works. That all three of us were in negotiations with Belmar to come to this agreement. So this is an opportunity where the private sector and the public sector came together, and it's optimize a construction project in the vicinity of Teller and all the way to Salisbury. There's some agreement that's in place that our Public Works Division has been working on to make sure that the timing of Alameda improvements time with the building permits that come in Belmar. And that's the attachment, that there was an agreement to do that, and they were at a point where they needed the additional improvements. In addition, we have, through the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority, dedicated some funds for the upcoming years to improve Alameda. And lastly, there's a capital improvement program where there was a special overlay that's needed in this vicinity. So to afford the traveling public one construction season of disruption, we looked at an effort to combine all three of those efforts into one construction project. The LRA project had landscaping and median construction and sidewalk improvements planned. We still had to scope out the whole project. That went between Carr Street and Sheridan Boulevard. And finally, as I said, the repaving of Alameda was from Carr Street to Pierce Street. These efforts allow also, this agreement will allow the Belmar commercial owner to continue its investment in the Belmar community. What that means is if this was not approved tonight, they went forward with construction, they would have to put up dollars to get their building permit that would require them to pay for all the Belmar improvements. And so this alleviates that because we would handle the construction under the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority. The money that Belmar commercial owner will come in 3 payments, a total of $3.28 million, and it will construct the medians between Vance Court and Pierce Street, and includes the shifting of the curb line, the south curb line on Alameda to accommodate those median improvements. With that, we would ask, you're going to hear this also for the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority. This takes 2 actions. One, so that the city was a signature on the original public improvement agreement, so this will allow things to move forward. So with that, we just ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nealon. You going to have a question? Councilor Abel?
I do. I assume that this amount of money has been well vetted, but what happens if there are cost overruns?
It was well vetted, but if there's cost overruns, either we'll cut the project by some amount, or we're anticipating cost savings because we combine all 3. But we have no contingency in the agreement if there's cost overruns. And if there's under cost, there's no rebate either. So it's a set fee.
Okay. So if it's overruns, we pay for it. If it's underruns, we put it in the bank.
Money. Yes. Yep. We vetted it with independent analysis.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Franks?
If you're over budget, have you guys already prioritized and kind of seen what would be excluded if there were cost overruns? Have you already done a prioritized cut list?
Yes, we are working on that as we speak, and we'll be presenting it during the budget meeting, so you have a good sense.
All right, I see no more questions, so I'm going to open the public hearing on Resolution 2017-23. Nobody's signed up to speak. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor Paul, I move for the approval of the council minutes and the acceptance of the minutes of boards and commissions, and for the adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments? Please cast your votes. And that passes 11 ayes, 0 nays. General business. We'll go ahead and turn it over to Councilor Wickman.
I wanted to do a little public heads up. I'm going to be introducing a motion, not tonight because we just got it, but here in the near future. The motion, of course, is going to the rest of the council, so they'll have a chance to read it. But I want the public to know about it as well, because obviously we want your input as well. As a little bit of background, as part of the mitigation process of when development comes in, we try to mitigate some of the loss of open space and parks and stuff like that by requiring the developers to contribute something towards to kind of make up for some of that loss. In years past, that came in the form of they donated a certain amount of land, and that's how we managed to get a lot of parks in Ward 4. Was a lot of that was land was donated by the developer. Well, years ago, decades ago, that's changed. And instead of requiring land to be donated, we're allowing them to pay a fee, which is relatively modest. We call that opting out or paying a fee in lieu of. So my motion will be to remove that opt-out feature for any project that's over 15 acres. And so the definition will be 14.99 acres. If it's less than 14.99 acres, they can continue to do a fee, but the fee now has to be valued on what the land's worth, not the relatively low fees that we're doing right now. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $700. So it'd be what the land's actually worth. And for projects that are over 15 acres, they'll have to contribute the land itself. So it is, if you want to look it up in your code, it's section 14.16.070, and it's called procedure/fee determination. And what I'll be looking at is inserting just a five-word phrase. The phrase will be of 14.99 acres or less, and put that in several key points to indicate that the fee in lieu of is only applicable for small projects and not large projects. And then in addition, I'll be striking the language that says that they can pay a fee of $700. We'll take that out entirely, and instead it'll have to be the fair market of the land. Anyway, that's coming down the pike, so please be thinking about it and getting back to us and give us your input. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I'll just remind the rest of council, if you have council requests or you have any of those forms in your mind or something that you want to place, like, for instance, Councilor Franks, we had talked about some traffic issues. This might be a good time so we can get another tranche out to the group to look at those types of things. So keep that in mind. Ms. Hodgson, executive report.
Yes, thank you. I have a few things. First of all, since we are celebrating Parks and Recreation Month, I want to make sure people are aware of the Carmody Park Fitness Zone that's new there, and it's in partnership with Centura Health. It's a state-of-the-art outdoor workout facility. And I think every single one of you ought to be role models and work out there, or
thank you,
or at least encourage your constituents. So
I'll be there tomorrow.
I'll meet you there. So the really cool thing about this workout facility is it's outdoor, so that's cool, and it's strategically placed so adults can be working out, or council people can be working out while you're watching the children play on the playground or play sports on the field. So it's really cool, and you want to meet there tomorrow morning? Okay. So, yeah, 5:30 a.m. Okay, so really, since it's Parks and Rec Month, please check this out. This is a really cool partnership with Centura Health. On a totally different note, we heard a lot of comments from citizens about the 4th of July, the recent 4th of July celebration. It tends to be an annual concern, and this year we received over 1,000 firework complaints. that were entered into our dispatch system. Now, there were several hundred more calls that were placed, but those weren't entered because the caller couldn't provide a specific location to dispatch. So that's a pretty heavy call load. And when you think about it, here's a comparison. In perspective, we average about 200 911 calls a day. So this is 1,000 that were registered and a couple hundred more that weren't. You do know that all fireworks are illegal in Lakewood. This is a problem that we've seen metro-wide. All of the police chiefs have been talking about the concerns in their communities, and I heard today from our mayor that the metro mayors are also discussing the concerns that citizens have about fireworks. Just so you know, we deployed 8 overtime agents along with our full-strength agents on site or on shift from July 2nd all the way to July 5th. We also used a lot of social media. We used Twitter. You might have seen the electronic message boards. We used Channel 8. Frankly, to no avail. We still heard and saw so many illegal fireworks. So you know, right now we're in the process of reviewing all of those calls, all of those concerns, listening, compiling all the comments and complaints. Again, it's a metro-wide issue, and we're looking for effective solutions. We'll get back with you. We're also going to talk regionally with our partners and with our neighbors to see what kind of solutions we might have. So please know that that's underway. Next topic, a reminder for the Lakewood High School parking work group. Certain people signed up for the work group, and for a reminder, the meeting is tomorrow. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 6 to 9 at the Clements Community Center. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to remind folks if they haven't gotten the notice yet. Tomorrow, 6 to 9. This is for the folks that signed up for the work group. If you aren't on that work group but would like to submit comments, you can do that by emailing jeffcomediation@gmail.com. You can email comments, concerns, or potential solutions if you'd like, if you haven't been assigned to the work group. I have a lot. I have 2 more. Another notification, the CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, will begin paving operations on the Wadsworth capacity. So this is Highland Drive to 10th Avenue. It's that project, and this is starting Friday, July 14th through Monday, July 17th from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. So that's going to be a complete closure. This will have significant impact to traffic. And we'll post this to traffic that won't be there. That's what I meant. Significant impact. I hate when people laugh at you. So this project will increase operational capacity of the 10th Avenue and Wadsworth Boulevard intersection by adding one new lane in each direction on Wadsworth Boulevard, as well as a multi-use path on either side of the street. So we're going to post our project information so people can, you can go online and learn more and get updates. So we'll post those online rather than me saying these verbally. And one more announcement, and that is that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is offering disaster assistance to Colorado businesses and residents affected by the recent hailstorm on May 8th. That's a real low-interest loan, federal disaster loan. They're available to Colorado businesses and residents affected by the hailstorm. So the filing deadline to return these applications for property damage is August 29th. More information can be found online, but the Disaster Loan Outreach Center is located in the Jefferson County Courts and Administration building, and they're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30. So we'll also post this information to give you a link for that important resource. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Harrison.
Yes, I have a couple of items that I wanted to add. Kathy, you talked about the Carmody Universal Park fitness zone. You forgot to mention that our grand opening is July 28th at the Carmody Park. So I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to come see this wonderful new universal playground available for children of all ages and all abilities. So I think that's really spectacular. We'll have that. And the running team of the City of Lakewood. I have another challenge. You'll like this one. Ralston House, 0.5K. I think we can do this, right? 0.5K. So the running team of Lakewood, and we'll expand for those others that might be able to do a block or two. We'll let you all come. August 22nd, this is a great opportunity. Thank you.
Well said. I think all of council would sign up. Council President Roy Ball.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick reminder, we're having our community picnic at Lasley Park from 12 to 2 on Saturday. Please come down. Thank you.
Councilor Coop, Councilor Wickman, Councilor Gutwein.
Two quick things. I was wondering if, with the construction on Wadsworth, if you could also post that information on Nextdoor. We had some, it is, okay. Thank you for already having that done. That is awesome. Great. And then I just wanted to say I went to the new Carmody Park for the first time with my kids, and it was amazing. I think when we've all talked about this universal playground, it was kind of hard to imagine what that would look like. But there were people of all different ages, grandparents using the exercise equipment and resting in the shade and watching their kids playing on the playground. My kids couldn't stop saying just wow, and they were so excited. And then Camp Paha showed up, and so it was just amazing to see them getting to use the swings and just and teenagers, millennials playing basketball. So really, I think it was just better than I even imagined it was going to be, and we will be spending lots and lots of hours at that awesome playground. So we're very thankful for it. Thank you.
Councilor Franks.
Thanks, Mayor Paul. First of all, I wanted to thank all of the folks who showed up for the July Ward 4 meeting. A lot more people than we anticipated, so thank you all. As I mentioned earlier, we've done a survey. I still want to wait for a few more to come in, but we certainly want to publish those results for folks to see. Of course, keeping individual submitters' names anonymous. Also wanted to say that I am happy to donate to the Ralston House, but I'm actually allergic to exercise, so
we'll take money.
On the topic of fireworks, I wanted to comment a few things. The fireworks started on July 1 in my area and continued all the way through July 8th. That is very difficult for folks who have babies, trying to put them down to sleep, for people who have pets who are terrorized night after night. We've got to look at these professional grade. They were a block or two from my house and clearly professional grade. I mean, huge ones going off. I want us to consider looking at retailers that are selling to folks who live inside our city. I want to look at neighboring states and things crossing over. It's just a little bit out of hand, and certainly want to also maybe in this budget cycle explore, Lakewood bringing back maybe some kind of fireworks if we can financially make it work. I know it used to be done by a group that could no longer do it due to affordability. But certainly wanted to put those things out there as research items. And I did also want to ask, and it may not be something you can answer tonight, but want to understand how many tickets were issued. I mean, at some point I want to see if we're actually, somebody's paying the price for this, and knowing that you can't catch everybody in the act and it may be difficult, but that's an important part for me as well.
Thank you. We don't have that information right now, but enforcement is tough. So between the time the call is made and when the police are dispatched, the fireworks are gone and people have left. So that it's a tough issue, but we'll see what we can pull up in terms of data.
And I do want to look at the what evidence in the future, if we can't find another way to that citizens can gather without putting themselves at risk, for anonymous submission of photos or that type of thing, because you're not looking to enter this very contentious thing with your neighbors. But at some point, these were becoming dangerous. I heard reports of small fires where the rockets were getting maybe into old juniper bushes. And, this puts people's property at risk. So I'd really like to expand that to figure out what we can do to assist, because I think folks are starting to count on that there won't be a quick response. And, they'll go inside and then wait for somebody else to set theirs off. That seems to me like we're chasing something. So I just wanted to comment on that.
Councilor Shakti?
I just wanted to add that the schedule of all the things for Park and Rec Month is at lakewood.org/July. A highlight I noticed is open water swim clinic. So there's all kinds of stuff.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you. I would just like to say a very sweet and dear friend to many of us who's come before council many times, Deborah Klein. She is a beautiful person. She's in a wheelchair. She was hit by a truck. She is recovering right now at St. Anthony's, and I think she probably would very much enjoy some cards. So please send them to her. And I hesitate to do this, but we've heard from James repeatedly, and I too am getting constant questions. Tim, do we have any kind of a timeline for the grocery cart ordinance?
Councilor, we have a draft based on a Alameda County, California ordinance that was retrieved some time ago. We have taken that and turned it into a city ordinance. It's what we're doing now is having it looked at by the affected departments. So we started with Public Works, and we've gotten comments back from the director, Mr. Hutchison, and we want to get the rest of the affected departments to look at that. And then we're open to scheduling it for discussion at the next opportunity. We can schedule it while it's being circulated, certainly. So whenever council wants to get that on a study session agenda, I think was the next step.
But no firm timeline at this point.
Whenever council wants to schedule it, we'll be ready to bring it forward.
With the warm weather, they're everywhere. And it'd be nice to address it as soon as we can, frankly. Thank you.
Councilor Abel.
No report.
Councilor Vincent.
Yeah, one comment is that thank you for bringing up about the tickets, because I had some people too who wanted to know if there were tickets issued for the fireworks. And excuse my laughter when you talked about Wadsworth, but when you talk about Wadsworth and maybe impacts, and it usually causes a lot of laughter in the neighborhood. It's been going on for a while. And the Ward 2 meeting is this Wednesday, 7:30 a.m. at 1480 Teller.
Cool. Mayor Pro Tem Harrison,
I'm sorry, I forgot to thank all of the people that showed up for our Ward 5 meeting on July 1st. I was amazed. They didn't all go on vacation. They were all there. It was wonderful. And I just wanted to tell them thank you so much for being there. We had a great turnout and really good discussion. Thank you.
All right, I just have a couple things. National Night Out is coming up in August, so if you participate that, and fantastic. If not, you want more information, please reach out to the city and we can get you connected. That's a great opportunity to get to know your neighbors, to have our first responders, our police always make a great show and are always the most popular. So we appreciate that. And it's a great event, and we have a huge one. I know Belmar has the largest, I think, in the city. Had great conversations with Xcel Energy, kind of a first blush conversation based on the letter that this council sent their CEO to talk about our energy needs, where we want to go with our energy future, and how we can work to achieve our sustainability goals. So that is up and going, and I look forward to having council become a part of that whole conversation as soon as Xcel kind of figures out which route or how they want to go. somebody mentioned Camp Paha, and if you're not familiar with Camp Paha, this month they are having their annual fundraiser, but it's a nonprofit associated with the city that helps special abled children go to camp in the summertime. And so for them to be able to go to the new all-inclusive park at Carmody is really cool. But this is a great organization, and not only does it provide amazing activities for the kids, what I've learned is it also allows some respite for the parents, and especially in the summertime, to know that their child is safe and is out doing fun things that they may not otherwise be able to. So it's a great program, and if you have any interest or would like to learn more, again, reach out. And then last but not least, we will have a study session next week, July 17th, pertaining to a proposed moratorium. And I would just like to echo that we will have that conversation. And I think for me it was a little bit unfortunate because there had been a plan that I had asked council to take a look at that would actually have taken that place on July 17th, which would have addressed parking limits and ratios, residential caps and multifamily, height limits and view planes, setbacks, sustainability standards, design standards, housing diversity, building space to open space, open areas, as well as MES language. So that was quite a menu of things that I had hoped that we could tackle on the 17th. I hope that after we're done with the 17th, we can take a look at those. Those are important. Those are the things that you told me your communities are concerned with, and I think we need to get back on track and get those things addressed because those are the things that are going to make the most meaningful impact. And the secondary part of that is also something that we discussed, and that's something that I sat down with every member. And the second phase of those meetings would have to do with kind of the engineering, and that's fees and lieu, impact fees, development fees, sidewalks, traffic, stormwater. So really trying to take a comprehensive look at a lot of things that are going on, and I hope that we can continue because that's going to bring the most meaningful change to the community. With that, I will adjourn this meeting at 8:26 p.m. and I will go into, I will call to order the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority special meeting, the City of Lakewood, Colorado, on July 10th, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. No, not even. At 8:26 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Paul?
Here.
Coop? Here. Wickman? Here. Gutwein?
Here.
Franks?
Here.
Harrison?
Here.
Roybal?
Here.
Vincent?
Here.
Abel?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Shakti?
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. So for the purposes of this group, we sit on the board as commissioners. Nanette Nealon is our executive director, and I will open public comment on the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority. Nobody signed up. I'll close public comment, and I will ask the clerk to please read the consent agenda into the record.
The consent agenda consists of items 4 through 6. Item 4, Resolution LRA 2017-1, designating the public place for posting notices pursuant to CRS 24-6-402 of public meetings of the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority for the years 2017 and 2018. Item 5, Resolution LRA 2017-2, approving Belmar Alameda Improvements Agreement. Item 6, approval of minutes of Lakewood Reinvestment Authority, Lakewood Reinvestment Authority Board meeting October 24th, 2016.
Great. Thank you. We have a presentation on item 5 that might sound familiar to some. Ms. Nealon.
Yeah, I know. We need it for record. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Tonight, I just want to alert you that there are 14 pages to this agreement. It was updated, and you have it at your desk there, and it was updated on the website. I'd also like to say thank you to Greg Graham and Jay Hutchison, who also participated in the development of this agreement. This is an opportunity where the private sector and the public sector can work together so that we have more coordinated approach on our transportation improvements, and it resolves some of the outstanding obligations by Belmar in a timely manner and also the least disruptive to the public, traveling public. This is a three-party agreement. It involves the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority, the city, and then also the Belmar Commercial Owner a limited liability partnership. With that, we're planning in 2018 to undertake a construction project that would blend 3 activities. It's the median improvements in the south curb line that is the responsibility of the Belmar commercial owner. The second part is for improvements between Carr and Sheridan for landscape and sidewalks improvements and some business grant money. And then also the Public Works Department also has a capital improvement program where they're doing a special overlay between between Carr. Oh, I always forget this one. Between Carr, no. Yeah.
Carr and Pierce.
Carr and Pierce, thank you. So we've got so many different boundaries we're combining. With that, this agreement lays out the terms of the agreement to accept funds from Belmar Commercial Owner Limited Partnership to the tune of $3.28 million in 3 payments to the LRA escrow fund. It's because of the taper implications that we accepted it through the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority. And with that, ask for the approval by this body to be the 3rd signature on this agreement. So.
Commissioner Abel has a question, but it pertains to item 4, but I think you can probably answer it.
Okay.
I have a question on item 5 as well.
Oh, 4 and 5.
On 4, the city has taken to posting on the internet, on the website, the public meetings. Can we add that to the LURA places of posting? I believe it has to be in the wording as we did with the that we would have to designate the website in the wording. So.
Okay. Is that an amendment?
Is that done? Do I need to make an amendment for that, or?
I look to the clerk's office. They prepare that for us.
The resolution states that it's the posting place is located in the lobby in the atrium of the Lakewood Civic Center, 480 South Allison Parkway, and also published on the City of Lakewood website in the resolution.
It says that now?
Or
we're adding that? I'm sorry.
In the body of the resolution?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And on item 5, you mentioned earlier in response to my question that we could cut back on some of the work, but doesn't the staff report say that those are required improvements or commitments? So how do we cut back on something that's required?
So, for example, as part of it, we're looking at design features, which I'll go on the next presentation when we get down further, of enhanced design features for the corridor. And so some of those would not be incorporated if we exceed the budget.
So they're not all required. Some are
right.
options.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. I will now open the public hearing on resolution LRA 217-1 and LRA 2017-2. Mr. Cox, for clarification, I can have a public hearing on both, correct?
We treat them the same way with both bodies. If it's a resolution on the consent agenda, you can take public comment.
Well, nobody's signed up to speak on either of these. So anybody wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Ask for a motion on the consent agenda.
Chairman Paul, I move for the approval of the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority minutes and the adoption of the resolution, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into record by the clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Please cast your votes. That passes 11 ayes, 0 nays. Thank you very much. Ms. Nealon, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. And then anything under general business? Any comments, reports? Oh, yeah.
One more presentation item on there. Help you out. I know. He wants to get done. This is quick. This is going to be a couple minutes. But I just thought I'd give you an update on the Alameda Corridor. That's okay. Alameda Corridor design and implementation. We talked about it back during the budget cycle. And as you get a lot of volume of information to you during the budget process, it's always good to remind you that we're doing some work and where's the status of that work. And we will give you a further update at the next budget cycle, too. Well, that doesn't work. I just want to remind you some of the current conditions along Alameda. When we have funding from the LRA project, it's limited between Carr Street and Sheridan Boulevard with extents encompassing the businesses along Alameda Avenue, and then anything that impacts to get continuity into the corridor. So some of the current conditions, we've had a lot of complaints of the landscaping. So one of the things we recommended to this body last year was to start looking at the landscaping along the corridor in addition to other work. We also recommended, this is a picture that was taken a year ago, the intersection of Teller and Alameda. Goodyear has since did some upgrades and tore out a lot of the plant material and upgraded that. But then we're looking at improvements of the signal, which is some of the basic signal, and then we're looking at some enhancements to the signal itself. And then some sidewalk going up Teller Street. It's missing a sidewalk, and it's also where Stein Elementary is, and so we have a lot of problems there. So it gets connectivity between the north and south side of Alameda. That was part of the connectivity study for Belmar, or for the downtown area. So we're looking at improvements there, and then also the intersection improvements, looking at a safer pedestrian crossing across Alameda. And then we said we would explore opportunities for sidewalk improvements all along Alameda. Right now we're focusing on the south side, primarily because of the budget constraints that we have for revenue coming in through the LRA. And then lastly, we'd have the second to last, the wayfinding and placemaking. This is what the planning department proposed, to create some character to the corridor and put some monumentation. And then also do some business grant programs through the LRA, which is different than the city. The facade and the landscape. And if anybody's seen this is the old Bolero, and go by it now, and the facade is really great. And we've been in discussions with them to help them get the parking lot worked on also. So with that, what I wanted to let you know is that from the budget and design efforts to date, we did send out to all the businesses along the corridor, allowing them to know that we were doing a ground survey. That's been completed. We've worked on some conceptual costs. Our costs are ranging between 10 and 15 million, and we had 3 million from this cycle of LRA money, and then you combine that with the 3.28 million from Belmar, and then a little over about, I think it's 1.8 million from the CIF. So we're in the process of narrowing down and phasing the scope of work so that we can have a reasonable project for 2018. The last thing is we asked for an urban design consultant. This is a gateway into the city. We asked for them to look at that and make some recommendations on landscaping. Landscaping is maintained by the individual property owners, some by the city, and some to be determined when some redevelopment happens. And so it's an uncohesive corridor, and so we're trying to find mechanisms and working with the Alameda Business Improvement District to see how they can enhance the maintenance of the corridor. So a proposed schedule going forward in September, we'll be having a budget discussion and we'll make a final recommendation to you. The scope that we're anticipating is between Vance and Pierce, doing some landscaping improvements, besides the improvements that are needed from the CIF, and then also from the Belmar improvements. Then also we're looking at maybe the first phase is the entrance as you come in from Denver, going from Sheridan to Fenton. And then lastly, from a budget, we're looking at the Teller Street sidewalk, and that's what we think we can do under this year, but that's just a general to give you a heads up before we get to the final budget. We'll finalize the design in September and October. The plan is to get construction bids out in October, and then construction in 2018. We're hoping for one construction season. With that, give you an example of the Belmar frontage. This is what it looks like right now. When we worked with our design consultant, one concept is to do something like this, which is addition of some planted materials and getting the sidewalk and the curb line moved. Another place is on the north side of Belmar. Here's what it looks like right now. And then here's some of the enhanced look. And we're trying to differentiate the downtown Belmar separate from the rest of the corridor, so you know when you've come into the downtown. And with that, that's just an update to give you just a sense of the work that we're doing right at this point in time.
It's fair to say kind of the Red Rock theme is because Alameda is the gateway to Red Rocks.
Absolutely. Yes. Thanks.
Commissioner Franks.
Ms. Nealon, I wanted to maybe, if you could maybe educate our audience and the people watching maybe on TV about the LRA funding really quickly, because I think that's sometimes where folks don't know where the funds come from for that. So could you quickly kind of just give people an idea?
Absolutely. The funding comes from a property tax. There's when the urban renewal area was formed, it set a base for the property tax so that all taxing entities could get the same funds that they were prior to the urban renewal area designation. Any new development that came in that increased the property tax that way, the additional property tax that was collected is called the increment. That's what goes into the funding of the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority.
Thank you for that. That was a good question. Commissioner Shakti.
Could we get those before and after pictures? I think people might like to see them.
I can give them to you, but these are very conceptual, and we're still working on it.
All right, very conceptual.
Conceptual. Okay, we'll do that. I was even hesitant to show them, but I thought you needed to see something what we're talking about. Okay.
Thank you. That was a nice presentation. Anything else from the commission? All right, with that, we will adjourn at 8:40. I also want to thank our police agents for hanging out and keeping us safe tonight. Thank you.
Oh, my sweet Fräulein down in Berlin town makes my heart start to yearn. And my China doll down in old Hong Kong waits for